I got to start. I got to start with Donnie Nelson. What was your initial reaction to just his resignation / firing, however you want to look at it?
I was personally devastated by it because, I've known Donnie a really, really long time and felt a good relationship with Donnie, but that's not, special to me. That's everybody that knows him. He's just an extraordinary guy. I feel like he's been responsible for the greatest things that have happened for the Mavericks post-90s. I feel like he's got a high acumen for the job. I love how he knows everybody in the league. But he's been here a really long time. And so, whatever did or did not happen behind the scenes, that's for, Donnie and Mark and Rick and whoever's involved in that group at the top to know, the story on all that. But just from a personal standpoint, I was very upset because I just think so highly of him and care for him so much. And I think he's done a really amazing job. And I also think that, some media and fan base hold him accountable for things that he wasn't responsible for. So that's a tough thing. But, dude, he was with this organization for 24 years. That's an eternity for any person to be with a pro sports franchise. So I see both sides of that coin.
Well, and as well, I wanted to ask you, the Timcato Report in the Athletic, do you think that is kind of what blew the top off with this, or was there something deeper going on that no one even knew about?
Well, I mean, I certainly think the things that were detailed in Tim's article are problematic for how a front office would function, along with the coaching staff and all those kinds of things. If that story is 100% accurate. I mean, obviously Cuban tweeted to the contrary. But I think if there wasn't a degree of dysfunction, there wouldn't have been a parting of ways with Donnie. So, I mean, that's sort of for us to kind of sift through and try to figure out what we believe and what we don't believe. But I don't know that I think Tim's article led to that happening. By all accounts, which I do believe to be accurate, Mark and Donnie parted ways on Sunday, and the article came out on Monday, and they were aware that the article was coming out. I do know that, but so I think it had been, if brewing is the word, or in the works, and it could have been in the works for a couple of years, right? I don't think it was a sudden decision. I don't think it was a spur-of-the-moment thing based on an article. I think it was something that they had been working towards, or in this case, working away from. And I think if you look at the moves that they've made since then, it was pretty clear Mark wanted to go in a different direction with his team.
Did you even hear of Vegas Bob before this? What did you make of this whole
situation?
So
I actually, how you have like internet relationships with people, like your friends on Twitter, or you're in each other's DMs or whatever. So I've known Bob since 2012, I believe. He actually tweeted me during a game one time to say something that wasn't very nice. But we worked through it, and then I would say had a very friendly, in my estimation, it was a very friendly social media relationship. And, I went back and looked at the text the other day when the story broke. I texted, I was like, you didn't tell me you were coming in. He's like, oh, yeah. And he actually, I think he had mentioned, I was at Mavs practice, and I was sitting there talking to Kiki Vandeweghe, who works for the league. This is 3 years ago. He was like, dude, I was standing right over there by you. I was going to say something. So we've internet known each other for a long time. And I don't have negative or overly positive or overly negative, feelings about Bob. I respect what he's carved out in the world. I think it's pretty extraordinary. But as far as the inner workings with how he would function with Mavs coaching staff or Mavs front office, I never talked to him about that ever. Not once. So, I would be totally speculating on his perception of all of that. But, yeah, we've had what I would consider a friendly relationship for going on 8 or 9 years.
Do you think he'll still have a significant role from what you're hearing?
I haven't been told that. I would sort of assume so. Tim's article said his contract was up. I didn't know that, and I haven't asked him that. nor have I asked Cuban that. So I don't know if that's true or not. If the article is accurate, then his contract's up and they'll either renew him or not. When a coach or a general manager, you part ways, that's a story. But there's assistant coaches that contracts don't get renewed or they move on or whatever. And that happens with front office personnel, various scouts and things like that too. So I think if Bob were to move on, I don't know that it would probably be a big, huge story. I think probably someone would look up, a media person would look up and go, hey, Bob's not around anymore, and start asking around, and an answer would come up, or the season starts and you see Bob around. So I don't know. And I think if I hit up Cuban and said, hey, is Voulgaris' contract going to be renewed? I think he would give me the big stay out of it's none of your business kind of routine, like in a nice way, So those are questions that I don't ask.
I got you. And another significant part of this is Donnie leads to Rick. One probably doesn't happen without the other, right?
That's interesting. I don't know. It's kind of hard to separate one without the other now that we know that Donnie and Mark parted ways. But I would think that Rick has been the head coach for 13 years, and for 10 of those consecutively hasn't won a playoff series. That's pretty unprecedented in pro sports. Like, I don't know. I'd have to go look it up. How many coaches go a decade without winning a playoff series, or in the case of the NFL, a playoff game, and they don't? I mean, Marvin Lewis, I guess, so it's very few. So, I think Rick had a couple of years left on his contract, and I think once he knew that they were getting a new GM, most GMs are not going to retain a coach that hadn't won a playoff series. So I think Rick knew. So I think he tried to position himself to go get a good job while they're out there, and I think his relationship with Mark is probably pretty good. Seems like it's good. Mark said nice things. And so, letting him out of his contract to go pursue another job when he likely wasn't going to be retained makes a lot of sense for both sides.
Do you how much do you think it's multiple things when something like this happens? It's not just like one. Like, it wasn't just Donnie. Like, how many? Like, do you think that there was a Rick Carlisle rift? That
I don't know that I think that there was like an incident or anything like that. I think it's pretty obvious that Rick treated Luka differently than he would treat other players normally, right? I mean, I think that was pretty obvious. Very early on in Luka's rookie year, he was given the keys to the castle, and that's very un-Rick-like. So Rick made concessions for a special player. But, a lot of the fan base speculated, watching the way they interacted, that they didn't get along. I think it's safe to say, dude, Luka's a 22-year-old international superstar. How many 60-year-old hard asses is he going to get along with, period? Like, it's very unlikely they were going to find some great bond. I'm sure Luka learned a lot from Rick. He's a very smart basketball guy, but it didn't seem likely that their personalities were going to mesh, even if you knew, whatever you do or don't know about Rick or Luka, it just seems like unlikely that they would vibe.